A man smiles for a photo wearing a bright yellow jumper with his equally smiley son hoisted on his shoulders. They are a couple of excited Spanish tourists visiting the town of Omagh in Northern Ireland. They stand in front of an innocuous red car on a busy street. The year is 1998, and that red car was packed with around 500 pounds 226 kilograms of fertilizer-based explosives that would detonate moments after that photo was snapped. It was a terrorist attack orchestrated by the Real Irish Republican Army, a splinter group from the IRA that did not agree with the ceasefire that the IRA had agreed upon earlier that year. The explosion would kill 29 people, injure 220, and spark national and international outrage. The two in the photo would miraculously survive, though the photographer would unfortunately die. Legs stretched out in front of him, a notebook and pen on his lap, David A. Johnston directs a sunny smile to the cameraman, Harry Glicken, who was a student of David's. His demeanor is relaxed and excited, as he should be. He is a volcanologist studying the rumbling Mount St. Helens. 13.5 hours later, Johnston would be killed by the eruption of Mount St. Helens. His last words shared over the radio to the closest U.S. Geological Survey office were, "Vancouver, Vancouver, this is it." His remains were never found. Glicken was meant to be on duty observing the volcano that day, but he swapped shifts with Johnston at the last minute as Glicken had an interview to attend. Upon hearing the news of the eruption and Johnston's death, Glicken was devastated and joined helicopter crews to try and find survivors for hours before they refused to allow him to continue. In a strange twist of fate, Glicken would die from a separate volcanic eruption in Japan years later. The photo shows a 300-pound black bear in the forest. The bear is around 100 feet away, behind a fallen log, and seems to be following the photographer. The photo was snapped on a phone by Darsh Patel, a 22-year-old Rutgers University student who had decided to go hiking in West Milford's Apshawa Preserve with 4 of his fellow university friends. Unfortunately, the bear ended up chasing the students, so they decided to split up. When they regrouped, one student from the group was missing, Darsh Patel. Patel's body was recovered 4 hours after police arrived at the scene. He had been mauled by the bear he had photographed only moments beforehand. His phone would also be recovered with puncture marks and this foreboding photo. The photo is blurred, as if the photographer moved the camera as he took it. The photo shows 2 men, one with a shaven head, holding an orange cup to the camera. The photo could be from any house party. But, the man with the aloft orange cup is Tyler Hadley, and earlier that day, he killed his parents, Blake and Mary Jo Hadley, with a clawed hammer while high on ecstasy. Their dead bodies, wrapped in towels and covered in family possessions that reminded Tyler of his parents, lay upstairs in the house as the party raged on. Tyler had a history of verbally promising to kill his parents since he was 10 years of age, seething whenever they would punish him or show parental authority. Finally, on the day of their murders, he promised the party of the century. Writing on his Facebook page at noon, "Party at my crib tonight. Maybe." His classmates did not believe him, as his parents were known to be strict. But at 8 p.m., he again posted a message, "Party at my house, yo." At the party, he started telling people of his murderous deed. People who heard left or thought he was lying. His best friend, Michael Mandel, was shown the bodies upstairs. Afterward, they posed for this infamous photo. Michael eventually ran away from the party, and through word of mouth, Tyler's crime was reported to the police. Tyler was arrested the morning after the party and sentenced to life imprisonment. The Hadley house was later demolished. Two young women pose for a selfie in front of the wild nature of Panama. The two girls are Chris Kremers and Liz Ann Fruin, Dutch travelers who were hiking the El Pianista Trail. They set off for their hike on April 1st at 11 a.m. Unfortunately, on the 2nd, they did not turn up for an appointment, and the parents of the girls stopped receiving the daily texts they had been getting in the past. On April 6th, the parents arrived in Panama along with a full police search. The forest would be combed for 10 days. Nothing was found. 10 weeks later, a woman handed in a blue backpack. The backpack belonged to Fruin, and inside were personal belongings, including a camera and their phones. The phones had evidence of emergency numbers having been dialed only hours after the girls started their hike, but due to lack of reception, the calls did not connect. Fruin's phone died on April 4th, and Kremer's phone would be turned on intermittently between the 5th and the 11th, but the incorrect pin was entered, or no pin was entered each time. On the camera, 90 flash photos were taken between 1 and 4 am in complete darkness deep within the jungle. One disturbing image shows the back of Kremer's head with blood on her hair. 2 months after the backpack was discovered, a pelvis and a foot inside a boot were discovered, along with other remains. These were later DNA tested and confirmed to belong to Chris Kremers and Liz Ann Fruin. What happened to them remains a mystery today.